What's up, everybody? Derek here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to install this cabin air filter kit. This one's made for 2009 to 2012 models. That's all the F150s, including the Raptor. So we're going to be doing it on my 2012 Raptor today. They did not include a cabin air filter from the factory, which is kind of crazy considering it's an off-road vehicle. Just driving down a gravel road for a little bit will make the inside pretty dusty, so I'm hoping this helps that out a little bit. It's not really too difficult of a job, and the kit comes with everything you need. The bracket, cover, filter, some foam to cover up some holes, and then the RTV. So we're going to head on over to the truck and get started. The very first thing we're going to do is mark where our wipers lay on our windshield. It'll just make putting them back on a lot easier. I just took a piece of tape, run it along the top edge of the blade. I think that'll get us close enough to know where they go back on at. After that, we're going to pull the wiper blade arms off. So in order to take the blade arms off, there's a little tab right here. You just pull out on that and then flip your arm up and pull right off. Like that. Make sure you remember which side is which. I always like to set stuff off left and right, same order as it came off, everything like that. Next thing we're going to do is remove these pull pins here. I think there's just one on each side. Just get under there with the cat's claw. Pull up, pops right out. And as you can see, I've got my pry tool wrapped in some tape. That's so that we can safely put it up against the windshield to pull that cowl out of there. Just kind of lift up on it a little bit. Get the tool under there and pry it up. Pops right off. And slide it out. Then your windshield washer nozzle. These things are usually pretty fragile, so be careful with it. Just disconnect the line. Set the cowl off to the side. We'll do the same thing on the left. Sorry, the right. And on this side, I'm going to pull the hose off at this T. So I can take this off this way. Next thing we're going to do is take our wiper motor out. There's 3 bolts, 8mm heads on them. There's one there, one in the middle, and then one right there-ish. We're going to undo our plug before we even worry about those bolts. Just pull up on that little brown tab. Push down on it and pulls right up. Stick it off to the side so it's out of the way. Undo our bolts. Whoop. After you get all your bolts out, the motor just pulls right out. There we go. Harness was kind of getting in the way there. Alright, next thing we're going to do is clean up this area really good. We'll probably wipe it down, blow it out, vacuum it out. But that's where the filter mount is, right here underneath that bolt for the wiper motor. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cleaned up. Alright, got it all wiped down. I just used rubbing alcohol and a rag. Let it dry up a little bit. So we got to cover this hole with a plate. This is only on the 2009 and 2012s, I believe. The 13s and 14s must not have this hole there. We're going to cover this and we're going to put our plate on this side here. Before we put our plate down, we're going to run some silicone along this hole here. And then maneuver the filter bracket in. Kind of like the windshield wiper motor, it just takes a little bit of wiggling around, I guess. So, bracket's sitting in there now. And then you're going to take the new bolt from the kit, which is a 10mm head, and tighten this bracket down. After that's tightened down, you're going to take your silicone that comes with the kit, and we're going to run it along every edge of this filter bracket. The top around here, along the sides, and the bottom. You know, just squeeze it out. Do a nice size bead. There's plenty there. So, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and finish doing that, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I do to smooth it all out to make sure it seals up good. I'm also going to run silicone along here for this plate. There's no way to bolt it down, so after I get it silicone, I'm just going to place something heavy on top of there to keep pressure on it so it seals off. Alright guys, there you can see I got all the silicone on there. I went pretty thick with it. The bottom of my tube actually kind of blew out, so I just scooped it up with my finger. I actually went on the inside of it too and just kind of ran my finger along. And then on that plate, All I did was I put a bead down around the hole, put the plate on, and then I ran another bead along the edge, smoothed it all out, and put those two heavy sockets up there just to let it sit. If you are going to do this, I would definitely recommend rubber gloves. This stuff is gross. It stinks. It's sticky. Using rubber gloves is a lot easier. You just wipe it all in, pull the gloves off, you're done. If you don't have gloves, a trick that usually works is if you get the tip of your finger really wet and run your finger along there, then the silicone will just kind of come right off your finger. A lot easier than if you didn't wet your finger first. But we're gonna let that sit for at least an hour, probably longer. The longer the better, before we go any further with all of that. But we have a couple things we need to do under the hood. I did this first so that, you know, the setup time is kind of while I'm doing other stuff. So let's get the hood open and move on to the next step. So under the hood, what we need to do is pull our computer out right here. To get to a couple things back there, we got a couple holes to seal and something to clean out. Before we pull that off, we're going to undo that negative terminal on our battery. Last thing I want to do, and want any of you guys to do, is burn up your computer just to put a cabin air filter in. But the negative on my truck's an 8mm. Get it loosened up. A little twist, pull up, get it off to the side. Now to get to the computer, we're going to pull this foam thing off. It's just held on to these little washers. Which you can just pull off usually. Wiggle them a little bit. There, that's off there. Next, we're going to undo our plugs here. Pull back on that gray tab, and they pull right out. Get them out of the way. These little white protectors in there, sometimes they'll stick into the computer. If they do, just pull it out with like a flathead screwdriver and press it back into there before you reconnect everything. Then we're going to undo this ground wire. Just a 10mm head. The stud is spinning, so just use a 10mm wrench on the stud. You can break that nut loose. Like always, set your hardware off to the side so you don't lose it. Pull the ground wire off there, set that off to the side, and we'll take these studs off. And then the pure pulls right out. And set it off to the side. So, if you can see, look at all that crap in there. So what cabin air filters do is that stuff, when it gets wet, obviously creates like mold and moisture, and it stinks, and it's not very good for you. So we're going to clean all that out of there. And then there's 2 holes inside here that we have to plug up. But basically what this is doing is it's creating an intake, or all the air that goes into the cab has to go through that filter, so you don't get, you know, all this stink and dirt inside the cab. So if you turn your AC on or your heater on and it smells really, really bad, even if you're not going to do this kit, I would pull your computer out. It was super easy, and clean all that crap out of there, because that's not very good for you. So I'm going to get all that out of there and show you the holes that we have to plug up. Alright guys, I got it all cleaned up best I could. That's the pile of crap that was hanging out in there. So this is definitely going to help out quite a bit. I can't get my phone in here enough to show you, but next thing we're going to do is put this self-adhesive piece of foam in this hole. If you reach in all the way to the left, you can kind of feel a little flap in a hole in there. Basically, you're just going to take that pad, pull the white backing off of it, you just stick it in there, smooth it out the best you can, and then this small one is just going to go right there over that hole. So I wish I could show you a better picture or video of where that pad is supposed to go inside there, but like I said, I can't get my camera inside there. Alright guys, I got those pads on there. Next thing they recommend doing is getting this plastic cover off of there. That's the inlet for your fan. If you feel on top of it, there's like a mesh screen, and you can kind of see it there. But there's this foam here. We're just going to try to get underneath there and pry it up so we can vacuum it off. There's a good chance, considering how much stuff was in here, there's a good chance I've got a bunch of crap sitting on top of that inlet as well. So I'm going to go ahead and try to pry this off of here. It may break on you, and that's okay. Just get all the pieces out. You use a pry bar. Figure a screwdriver might be able to cut that foam a little bit easier so I can get it up. But I'll work on this and show you guys after I get it off. Alright guys, I was able to get that up. Look at all that stuff on there. That is gross. But I just ended up using a big pry bar, and it comes with this. The kit comes with this little block. Just set that down up on here. Get your pry bar underneath there and pry up on that, and it started to break free. Just kind of worked around it a little slowly. Basically, you're just trying to get that glue off there. So I am going to vacuum that off and just kind of set that cover back down on top of it. You can kind of see it's just hanging out up there. And then after that, we'll put the computer back in, and that'll be it until my silicone dries the rest of the way. All right, I got the screen back on there. Computer goes in opposite of how it came out. Pretty straightforward. There's a little hanger bracket back there. Try to make sure you get it set in. Push it in. Get your studs on there. And you'll just tighten everything down. You put your connectors back in. For these, you just push them on, and then they'll kind of stop. Just grab that gray tab, push it towards the back of the truck, and they're locked in good and tight. Also, don't forget to connect your ground stud back up, or ground wire to that stud after you get that stud tightened down all the way. All right, guys, I let that silicone set up as long as I possibly could. It's definitely dry. The bottle says at least an hour, up to 24 until it's completely set, but it's good enough for me. I pulled that bolt out of the bracket there. All that's left to do now is put your filter in. And the cover. There's a lip on the bottom that it sits in. And then a little thumb screw. There we go. And then installation's just the reverse of the removal, like normal. The only thing you want to do different is make sure you use this bolt that came with the kit on the wiper motor here. They added a shorter bolt so it doesn't run into the filter in there. So you see I got the plate all glued down. This one's all silicone down, so put it back together and enjoy my new clean air coming into the cab. So I hope you guys learned something here. Hope you realize it's a pretty easy job and you tackle it with just a couple hand tools. So give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, tell your buddies. We'd really appreciate it. And we hope you take a minute out of your day to do some maintenance.